Hey girl, have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, but the doors still weren't opening? You was grinding, praying, staying down, and it was still quiet? I understand, but that pause is not rejection. It's preparation. Go ahead and grab your cup. We got to talk about it.
Been that, still that, will always be mwah, that girl.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Mikkel back with another episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of the delayed yes, when God says wait. So we'll be talking about something. My cat is in here. Luli, say hello. Say hello. Hi. No, he wants to be bad. Anyway, so we are going to talk about, excuse me, how that delayed yes, that not yet, is heavy. And I think that as first generations white, we see the negative end. We see people not succeeding. We see people struggling. But we also see people succeeding and doing well. And we're like, okay, but what about me? What about me? I've been working hard. I go to work every day. I go to the gym every day. I do all these things every day. And I have yet to get that final breakthrough. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And the first part that we're going to talk about is when the weight feels like a wall. So sometimes the weight is heavy. You just don't want to do it. Too transparently, there's nobody who actually just wants to wait on success. Nobody wants to wait for the breakthrough, that final viral video that really gets the traction going, that final yes, that really gets you that money to that job, that final person that you finally are going to sit down and lay down with and be your husband or wife. Because, I appeal to all the people. We might, no telling what you're seeing. But, definitely that wait for that aha moment, like it finally is worth it. And I think that starts because we watch everybody's breakthrough. We see everyone succeeding. And we're doing that thing that we talked about a couple episodes ago. We're comparing. We're comparing our path to other people's paths. And so now we're really weighing heavy on ourselves. We're really doubting ourselves. We're really starting to debate. That's the word. If we are on the right track. And to be honest, you are on the right track. It's just not your moment yet. And there's this constant pressure to stay motivated because dang, I've been at this. Let me tell you something. I've been doing podcasting since 2020. 2020, y'all. 2020. Do you understand? And it's not only the pressure of like, it's people that get on these apps and just be bullshitting y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. They just be saying anything. And I'll be like, baby, they are guiding the masses to hell. That's what they're doing. Okay. And when I say the hell, I mean not like biblically hell, but like they just give me a bunch of bullshit. And it's not really helping. It's not taking into account the real deal of what really comes with growing and really doing great things. Some people are blessed with privileges that we will never have or have never experienced before. And that's cool. But let's be realistic when we're giving people motivation, okay? That's all I'm saying. So you see everybody with these breakthroughs, right? Those people have 2, 3, 4, 5 million followers just in my circumstances. They have 5 million followers. And it's just like, baby, I'm taking my time out to do these episodes. I'm trying to come up with something new. I'm trying to talk about the things. I'm trying to keep it real, be authentic to myself. And you lose motivation. You just don't want to do it no more. You like, okay, shit, it's not working. Maybe it ain't my time. And instead of just staying the course and staying down, right, we stop. We just don't do it. We don't stick to it. So that finding motivation, I always tell people like, motivation is not going to be there every day. Consistency is. Motivation is not going to be there every day. You're not going to want to. There's nothing in the top of your head that's going to say, I should do this because I'm feeling it. You may not feel it. Then what? You're going to stop doing it, then we missed the opportunity, right? So definitely making sure to have this I'm going to do it anyway type of mindset rather than looking for motivation, because sometimes we don't have it. Just the truth. And then not taking it as punishment, but being understanding that it's you being positioned to greatness, right? So as I talked about in that breakthrough staying in your lane episode, I talked to a lady that's an executive director at my job right now, and she talked about how she was passed up so many times before she could get the promotion that she wanted, and she's overqualified to everybody else who passed her up. And again, I brought her up during the comparisons because that's literally one of those moments. If I gave up because I'm watching everybody else succeed and not me, why I gotta stay here? Why I gotta do this? You start questioning yourself. You start questioning everything like it's punishment. Because, and I want you to think in your mind, there was one time in your life that you was praying to be right where you are. And now that you want something else, this ain't good enough. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that nuts? You sat there and you prayed to be right where you are. It was a blessing. It was great. It was the best. But now that you want to go somewhere else, staying there is punishment. You got to reframe your thinking. You're not punished. You're just being positioned. You're learning things. You're getting skills to move you to the next step. Okay? My example would be when I got this promotion. I don't know if you know, I may have said it before or not, who knows, but I was going to get my specialist in leadership, and I had one class left to take. And right before I took that one class, or finished that one class, right before I finished that one class, I found out that Georgia was not going to take my degree because there is a level 1, level 2 leadership in Georgia. And so that specific degree program would have gave me a level 2 instead of a level 1. No, ain't that crazy? Ain't that nuts? You like, wait a minute. wait a minute. I'm supposed to be a principal by next year. I'm supposed to be out of the classroom, principaling, APing, doing my thing in leadership by that next year. And it didn't work out that way. And it was frustrating because I knew that where I was no longer serving me, that I was done with it, you know? And I just didn't understand why that didn't work. And so that was a really, really hard part of my life. I balanced it well because I was busy. So I couldn't really dwell into it. But it definitely was a low point for me because it was like, now I got to go back to school and get another master's. 2 masters just sounds silly as hell to me. I didn't want that. It sounded stupid. I didn't want that. Now, why the hell I'm going to do 2 masters? Ain't no more money in it. Ain't that crazy? So yeah, I struggled with that myself, and it became a punishment. I felt like it wasn't fair. Like, it's people in leadership that ain't shit. Just transparently. Sorry, Mama, I know you watch me and I'm cussing. It is what it is right now. But they not shit. That's the best way to describe it. They don't do nothing. They don't lead nothing. They ain't got 2 + 2 to add together. So I didn't understand why it wasn't me and why I couldn't do it. And turn out I get a promotion, and my promotion is past that. It's not at school level. It's actually on the district level. So I get to a place where a lot of people are like, damn, you skipped a step. Well, the steps weren't mine to lay out, right? The steps weren't the people's idea. It wasn't my idea because God had a bigger picture for me. And I just think about all the times that like I was getting aggravated because I'm like this, or all the times I like beat myself up or was frustrated in my mind because I didn't get what I planned when there was a bigger plan in place, right? So just keeping that in mind, that it's not punishment. It's not you not doing the right things. It's not that you're not staying down and you're not staying focused. It may just be there's something better on the horizon, or I got to move somebody else out the way before I put you here because you and that person might not mix. You just don't get to see all the parts of the story, and you have to be comfortable with that. And that is something that I know as a first generation, as a black woman, as people who are used to handling all the business, we're not fond of doing, transparently. So the next part that I want to talk to you about is it delay or is it prep? So in this changing your mindset, right, and not thinking that this is punishment and not preparation, you have to ask yourself or understand that God says yes, but not yet, right? And so there was a Bible verse that I want to bring up. It's Psalm 37:7. And it says, be still before the Lord. Hold on. Let me make sure I quote this right because, I don't want to go out there misquoting and then y'all saying that the girl can't read. I can't read. Okay, it's right here. But it says, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So I think a lot of times with that comparison, again, we think about those people who we like, y'all do not deserve that. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve that. You're not a good person. I don't understand how they got here ahead of me. It ain't for you to understand. You're really not supposed to even worry about it. That shouldn't even cross your mind. It shouldn't even, and not saying it shouldn't cross your mind because that's unrealistic. I don't ever want you to give that unrealistic understanding to me and the God that I serve and the God that comes across in my mind and who I believe God is. My God is someone who understands who they put on earth. Okay? They know exactly who you are, how you think. There's no need to try to be inauthentic with God because that doesn't make no sense. They know who you are. Put the thoughts there. They know how you was going to do it. Okay? Cool. So, with that being said, it's not supposed to cross your mind, but you shouldn't let it weigh on you. You shouldn't let it become a burden or an obsession for why they get it and I didn't. They didn't deserve it. They didn't work half as hard. They didn't do half as much. They was cheating and lying and finessing and d. Okay? Cool. Don't even worry about that. You're not even supposed to fret. Let them people do their evil stuff. They gotta, whatever their steps are, whatever their punishment is, that's their punishment. Their success is not your punishment. Their success is not your punishment. That ain't got nothing to do with you. But I know in our world, especially if you in the United States, right? Because we do have some overseers locked in with me, and I love that. But yeah, if you are in this world, let me say that, in this world, in the United States specifically, we are very, very me. We're selfish, which is cool to an extent, but everything is not about you. And so that's what I take away from that, and that's what I try to remind myself, that like, you need to be still in the Lord and you need to wait. We don't care about what nobody else got going on. We don't care who's succeeding around us. We don't care who's succeeding despite if they deserve it or not, because that ain't our time. We don't know why they got to go there. That is not our business. It has nothing to do with us, okay? And then remember that this is not forgotten but divine alignment. I told y'all again, in both of those, this topic goes hand in hand with the topic of staying in your lane. If you have not watched that one, please go back and watch that. But that not forgotten but divine alignment. Y'all, God did not forget you. God did not forget you. You were not left behind. You did not all of a sudden get moved off his radar. You are not all of a sudden not important to God because you ain't get what you want. I know. As a girl who hates no. I hate no's. I hate any type of not my way. We have to accept that it's actually not our way. We do not call the shots. We think we do. We feel like we do, but we actually don't call no shots. And because we call no shots, when we don't get things our way, it is not that God has forgotten you, but it's divine alignment. You may need something, right? A delay, yes, could easily mean that it gives you more time to grow emotionally. It gives you more time to grow spiritually. It gives you more time to grow professionally. I remember when I started my podcast, y'all, I was giving y'all the real tea. I still stand by what I said for then at that time of my life. It made sense. It worked. It was some gems dropped. It was relatable. It was the truth. It was my truth. Now, at almost 30, do I handle things the same way? Do I even think the same way? No. To a level, yes, because I had a therapist during that time. And as she said, real tea, people don't fundamentally change. That's not really true. People don't fundamentally change, okay? But you do know how to handle things better. And I definitely handle things differently. So me handling things differently and experiencing these different places and these different points in my life, I definitely 22, 23-year-old Miss Holmes, Mikhail, has not. I was a crash out still. I'm not a crash out anymore. Things actually hardly ever piss me off. And when they do, I just let them go. Like, it's not that deep. So, and that takes time. So, emotionally growing, spiritually growing, professionally growing, it just gives you space to grow. And you're supposed to use that space instead of using that space to be bitter, mad, angry at the world. everyone I meet, especially in this education realm, and who really get to know me, get to talk to me, really get to see my work ethic, they like, oh, you got leadership in your blood. You're gonna be a leader. You're gonna be a leader. You're gonna be a leader. Y'all, I keep trying. I keep trying. I'm working hard. I keep trying. Eventually, I see myself being there. But baby, y'all, it's a process. If it was up to me, I'd have been there already. But looking at what I've gone through now, what I'm dealing with now, and seeing how things operate on a different aspect, when I get to that point, I will definitely have a different perspective. I'll be able to handle things differently. I'll be able to think differently or critically about certain situations. Certain stuff won't bother me as it did if I would have been a 29-year-old AP. Okay, I'd have been cured. And that's if I would have got a job at 29. But, see, I'd have had it. But if I'd have been a 29-year-old AP, I definitely wouldn't be handling it the same as if I'm like a 31-year-old AP. Even though that's only a couple of years apart, life is different. This position that I'm in now has definitely taught me different things. So just keeping that in mind. And then if you got it right now, would you be ready for it? Anything, right? So I always say I always refer to professionalism because a job is kind of the easiest way to describe these things. But even relationship wise, like if I would have, me and my wife always say that, if I would have met her at 22, first of all, she's my age. That's nasty. Second of all, we're 4 years apart. Second of all, second of all, even if we were the same age, my 22-year-old self could not have handled marriage at all. My 23-year-old self couldn't handle marriage. My 25-year-old self damn near couldn't handle marriage. You know what I mean? So even in relationships, friendships, same way. If I got all the things I wanted, if I got the social media that I wanted, if I would have popped off how I wanted, my life would have been different. I love my life because it was a point in my life where I prayed to be here. And I'm glad that I'm here. And even though I didn't know what here really looked like, I'm happy with here. Okay? I'm not saying that that's all I want out of life, but I'm happy with here. And I never would have got it if anything else would have went differently. I would have maybe fumbled it if anything else would have went differently. Like, I always think about how I presented myself on the podcast when I first started. You know, bundles, bust down, hair did, makeup, blah, blah, blah. Which is true. I mean, you see the wigs on the wall. I'll show you my wig wall one day. But it's wigs all the way down this wall. Okay? I love a good wig. I love a good dude. It was lashes. I got lashes sitting on my thing right now. Like, I showed up in a different way because I was young. And image really did matter to a certain extent where I would not even show up as this person. I didn't even wear glasses because I hated glasses. It's just what it meant to me meant something different. So how would I would have handled that in a platform? What would it have shown to young girls at that time? Did I really believe what I was saying at that time? You know what I mean? So just keeping that in mind. If you got it, would you be ready for it? Would you do right by it? That's what you got to ask yourself. So is it delay or is it preparation? So the next thing that I want to talk about is the danger in forcing the door. Y'all, I tell people this all the time. It's one of my favorite things. I think I've said it on my podcast prior to. If you ever want to go back to like my regular podcast and you want to see what I've said before, back when I was 20 something, 23, 25, 27. I think I've said some podcasts here. It's inconsistent, yes, but it's a whole bunch of content back there. You could always go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click it, hear me out. I don't think my message changed much. My delivery has changed. But I don't think my message has changed much. Because sometimes it's in you, it's not on you, right? But the danger in forcing the door. So I always said, or have said before, that if you push a door open and keep pushing the door open, keep pushing the door open, God gonna slam it in your face. Y'all. Now, when it comes to a professional career, I haven't really had that experience of like the door slamming in my face, right? I think that my layout has been pretty much curated pretty well to where it's success. I just want y'all to see. Y'all can't see my boy. Hold on. Lily. Yeah, there you go. He flat on the floor. But yeah, where was I going? Oh. Yeah, so I think in that professional aspect, I have been blessed to not have to force doors open and things slam back and slap in my face. That I can say. Everybody doesn't have that experience. I know some people got some jobs and baby, you bullshitted and got in that job because you wanted that job. And it's whooping they behind. It's whooping they tail because they wasn't ready for it. They didn't know. And they lied and cheated and finessed to get there. And now they're here and it looked totally different. It's like, baby, this is not what I was expecting. I don't know what to do. I have no realm what to do. I done lied so much. I can't even ask nobody, you know. That's why you shouldn't push the door open. You can't just push the door open because you ready to move. Sometimes you ain't supposed to move. But rushing opportunities that aren't meant for you can come back and slap you in the face. I think for me, I've experienced that in relationships, right? I'm just trying to be booed up. I'm just trying to be loved. I have literally picked up somebody. I say pick up, like we wasn't dating, but dated somebody who I wasn't even supposed to be dating. I wasn't even supposed to be dating. Do you know I dealt with that person for like over a year, maybe 2 years. We just went back and forth for BS and mess. And mess because I had no business talking to them. They had no business talking to me, but we was just trying to force something because we wanted to be in a relationship. I don't even think we wanted to be in a relationship together. We just wanted to be in a relationship, right? I think people experience that a lot. And it's that missing red flags because you're desperate. That's really what it is. And people have made desperation such a bad thing that I think people forget or fail to acknowledge that it's a real human emotion, that it's a real thing. Desperation is a real thing. When you're not getting what you want and you want it just that bad, you'll do anything to get it. Anything. You'll deal with whatever it is to get the end goal. And your end goal may be something as simple as just being in a relationship. You don't care what it look like, who it's with. You dealing with people who obviously don't like you, or you dealing with people who obviously don't care nothing about you, right? And you'll take a little bit of good and try to stretch it out for all the bad. You're forcing something that doesn't work. And so you're forcing a yes when it's a clear no. And when it's a clear no and you force the yes, then God has to come through and fix the mess. And in my situation, I used to literally, I'm more of a friend struggle girl. Rather than relationship, I would leave somebody quick, okay? I had no issue. Now, it was a couple on, they got me too long, okay? I should have said, fuck you way earlier, but I didn't. That's on me. But for the most part, absolutely not. I'm not finna deal with this, okay? Friendship-wise, though, them bitches hated me, okay? I had I've looked back at some of my friendships like, that girl hated me. She hated my guts. She didn't like nothing about me. But I was so busy trying to be a love and have a best friend and be close to somebody that I would tolerate anything. And when that shit hit the fan, and it tore up the fan, it tore the fan up. But when it hit the fan, here I was, heartbroken, stressed, depressed, and still alone. And God had to come through and clean that up, okay? Because Lord knows I couldn't do it by my own, okay? I couldn't have did it on my own. And so then signs that you're forcing it, you're drained, you're anxious, you're doubting yourself, you feel worthless. In any situation where you feel worthless, that you feel like you're not good enough, that you feel like something's wrong with you because somebody else being mean to you, you're forcing the door. Please let it close. Please let it close. And that comes from work too. Everything you do, and it's about just, hey. 9 times out of 10, it's not a bad job. It's just bad management. Go find that same exact job somewhere else. And I know that that's like a tricky place to be right now in our current predicament in the United States. However, I definitely think that now secure the job before you leave the other one. Okay? T. But yeah, if you find yourself drained as hell, not just regular tired, but just drained mentally, you sad for you even walk in the job. You anxious, you worry, your head on a swivel. Okay, my mentor right now, that's her favorite thing to say. Keep your head on a swivel. You got to keep your head on a swivel. I actually don't want to live a life where my head has to stay on a swivel. That scares me. That is really delusional to me. Like, why do I... Damn! We can't even chill around here? I don't... That's not a place for me for sure. So if you feel like that, then you're probably forcing a door open that's trying to close. And because you're so uncertain of what the closing door looks like, you'll just deal with the open door. Yikes. Life is better than struggle. That's that struggle mindset. You don't have to struggle to get great things. Great things can be great without all the negative shit. So just keep that in mind. And last but not least is how to grow in the wait. So when you're waiting, think of it as waiting in line for your turn, right? When you're waiting in line, you're not just standing there staring at the front thing, just looking at them waiting, right? You on your phone, you chatting, you texting, you scrolling social media, you're doing things. And so you want to do the same, not the same type of things, but you want to be doing something while you wait for your turn to success, right? And so what you would do is strengthen your spiritual life, right? You want to get in connection with whoever and whatever you believe in. Find peace in the world. Find your piece of happiness. Find your place to go when you need support and zen. That's what you need to get in touch with, okay? That's what you need to identify if you don't know what that is. Sometimes it feels like the world is crashing around you because you actually ain't connected to nothing. You just bullshitting. Sharpening your skills. So I'll be the first to tell you. I'm going to tell you, y'all. I'm going to tell you. They don't want to tell you. If you can't maintain a friendship, you can't maintain communication in your friendship when shit is going wrong, you're going to have that same struggle in your relationships. Because the problem is not the person, it's you. You don't know how to communicate, right? You don't know how to communicate in negativity. You don't know how to communicate in happiness. You don't know how to communicate in nothing. You don't know what to do. And so some of us find ourselves like just not. During this waiting period, before you find your husband, before you find your wife, before you find your bestest friends, before you find your tribe, practice. What does practice mean? There's people in your life that you need to have tough conversations with right now. Do it. Do it. Just do it. And if it don't work out, that don't mean that it's all bad. You want to talk to them anyway. So practice. If we're talking about a professional realm, sharpening your skills, networking, communicating, figuring out what you need to do, trying to be the best, get certificates, do what you need to do to be the best. So when it's your turn, you're not trying to pick up the pieces, scrambling, because you don't know what to do. Because I know some people that doing that actively right now, scrambling. They don't know what to do. Sharpen the skills now while you have the chance, okay? Work on your internal healing. So when we talk about internal healing, it can mean a various amount of things. I say focus a little bit on your inner child. When you're focusing on your inner child, you're just doing things that you've always wanted to do as a child. I always tell people when I first got my first salary check, okay, I was making $38,000 in Mississippi. I wasn't making no money. No money whatsoever. None whatsoever. I was making no money. But you could tell me nothing. Okay? You could tell me nothing. I thought I was rich. I was up there. First thing I did was went on Just Fab and got me a whole bunch of thigh-high boots because I've been wanting thigh-high boots my whole childhood. And they cold. I still got them, okay? They at the top of my little closet thing right over there. You can't see them, but just know. I regret nothing. The end part of me, I was so happy. I was so excited. It literally made me smile. Same thing with like these glasses. When I was a child, my mama said, I think the first time I got like a big pair of like cheetah glasses, she was like, girl, you always want them glasses. I literally always want them glasses because I knew it was going to be fly. I just knew big, little, obnoxious, crazy printed glasses was going to eat for me. And they do. Can't tell me nothing. I'm convinced. It's just, you have to serve what you've always wanted. That is how you heal inner child, right? Then we could talk about trauma and like dealing with your trauma. That's a whole nother aspect. Dealing with your trauma could be something as simple as you reflecting on your life and talking about it. So like with my therapist right now, we were going through some things of just like abandonment. So I have an abandonment trauma. I have abandonment wound. That's what they call it. And a lot of that just come from a conversation, just talking about it and really seeing what trends I find in that. Or going back and thinking about situations where I felt abandoned. And now that I'm an adult and I feel grown, yes, I still understood how I felt at the moment because that was me. But now that I'm grown, I'm like, okay, I can also see why this was. And not saying you excuse the behavior, but when things start making sense, a lot of the times as a child, you're struggling because you don't understand the full picture, right? And when you get an adult, you never even went back to finish up the picture for you. So now there's this open question mark. And those question marks is kind of what lead to the trauma and the struggle. And sometimes you won't get an answer. And that's cool. You got to be cool with that. But going through your life and really working through why you are the way you are, what you value, why you do the things you do, etc., etc. And then the last but not least is building consistency in your routine. So I got a personal trainer these past couple of weeks. I'm going on week 4, being in the gym at least 3 to 4 days a week. I'm going to be the finest girl I've ever met. You know what I mean? Like it's just consistency. Creating a consistent routine to where one day you're going to look up and you're going to have everything you wanted. But it's because you've been doing it. Not many people wake up one morning and just, boom, they fine. Boom, they rich. Boom, they got the best job of their life. But it don't really work like that. It's time. And every time you stop and start over, stop and start over, stop and start over, stop and start over, you have to go back through these same beginning steps to build up your momentum again until you get to that point. So it's just better to stick to it, okay? It's just better to stick to it. It's just better to stick to it. I'm trying to tell you. So the challenge for this week is for 7 days, I want you to ask, instead of why not me, I want you to ask, what am I being prepared for, right? In everything. Relationship, job, spirituality, everything. As what am I being prepared for instead of why it ain't me, why I ain't got this, why. Don't even worry about it. Then I want you to journal it, pray over it, and then just work through it, okay? You may not get the answer you want within these next 7 days, but you may have some clarity on what's your next steps, okay? And if this spoke to you, I want you to drop down in the comments below, I'm trusting the wait. Okay? Because that's what we're doing. We're trusting the wait. It's going to come to us. We're going to get it. We're going to pop. It's just in our nature to pop. That's what we're going to do. It's just going to come at the right time. It's not going to come at our time. Okay? And then, as always, if you think I'm your cup of tea and you like our little FaceTimes, then make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with a loved one. And I'll see you next week.
Been that, still that, will always be, that girl.